Miyamoto Musashi is the greatest samurai who ever lived. He owned a monstrous undefeated record of 61-0. However, he is more than often known for his large contributions to wisdom and military strategy, creating gems like the Book of the Five Rings and the Way of Walking Alone, often referred to as the Dokkōdō. Have you ever wanted a collection of rules that will guide you to live a prosperous and meaningful life? Well, today is your lucky day because the following are 21 life principles from Miyamoto Musashi himself. Number 1. Accept everything just the way it is. Once upon a time there was this Zen farmer who used his horse to farm. One day that horse ran away, and the neighbors paid a visit and told him, "We are sorry for your loss. That's quite the bad luck." And the farmer responded, "Good, bad, I don't know." They were puzzled. Few days later the horse came back leading around a dozen horses that now the farmer used to farm even faster. The neighbors said, "Wow, what a great luck." The farmer said, "Good, bad, I don't know." Few days later the farmer's son failed to tame a horse and ended up breaking his leg. The neighbors said, "What a horrible luck." The Zen farmer said, "Good, bad, I don't know." Later on, an army of soldiers were looking for healthy youngsters to join them, but ended up leaving since the son was not fit to serve. The neighbor said, "Wow, old master, you're so lucky." You can conclude what the master said. Number 2. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Pleasure must serve discipline, working as a reward instead of mere distraction or succumbing to weakness. The pursuit of pleasure leads to a life without satisfaction and meaning. Never a full bucket, always chasing more. An interesting way of using this principle is the Pomodoro technique, which is a variation of the Pomodoro technique. So, in the Pomodoro technique, you work for a period of time like 30 minutes and then rest for 5 minutes and repeat the cycle numerous times to maintain focus. The Pomodoro technique is basically working for 30 minutes or 60 minutes and then watching an episode of anime and the rest period. That episode could be a show you enjoy or whatever suits your taste. This is a solution for people with zero discipline. Number 3. Do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. Lao Tzu said, "Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go." She as in the Zen master. Feelings and whims come and go, the way a cloud forms and dissipates. Although Musashi appreciated formlessness in adaptation, he wasn't a fan of recklessness. It took him years and years of studying the art of war to fully shed his hasty and aggressive nature. The older he grew, he became more meticulous in his approach, biding his time, trusting reason over feeling. So, if you depend on partial feeling, you are nothing but a gambler, gambling away with your time, effort, life. Plan ahead, study the environment, and when you took proper deliberation, push action with no hesitation. This is good advice for the average person. If you are the endless research and no action type, you might want to take more chances and lead with action instead, even though you don't feel ready, because that's who you are. Number 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Don't take yourself seriously, but rather take the mission seriously. That's an advice from President Obama. Confidence breeds competence. Arrogance distorts reality, and it kills perspective. Curiosity is the sign of an internal spirit, mesmerized by the world, constantly learning from it, witnessing the sublime and beautiful, but not feeling dwarfed by it. Philosophy crystallizes childlike curiosity to wisdom. Number 5. Be detached from desire your whole life long. Desire is not something you can get rid of. It stays with you. It pushes you to do things, to avoid things, to make choices, to meet people, and so on. Musashi himself wasn't without desires. On the opposite, he was a lover of wisdom and competition. He wanted to be the best. He, however, detached himself from the unhealthy forms of desire, like greed, lust, gluttony, intense pride, sadism. He also minimized healthy desires that weren't related to his initial goal, like the desire for love, for family. Desire is a spice of life, but too much spice ruins the meal. Number 6. Do not regret what you have done. Human beings make mistakes, which opens them to a potential regret. Regret is like hatred, a poison that slowly kills the heart and mind. Regret is a mental tax that you pay forever if you don't heal it away. So, minimize regret by giving your best in everything you do. Regret, after all, is the offspring of complacency. Number 7. Never be jealous. Jealousy is the one-eyed green monster that eats away your relationships. It's a feeling of protectiveness of the other, the desire to possess. It exists in triangles, and like envy, it needs 3 people, basically. If taken to the extreme, it can be an endless fuel for insecurity, taking away your self-esteem one smile at a time, sabotaging your chance for happiness. When jealous, you are a slave to the other 2 parties, making you extremely vulnerable to persuasion, manipulation, and coercion. It's one of those few feelings that can transform the reasonable to the psychotic. You don't own anyone. You don't own anything. Even your life is not fully yours. If you are already a slave to jealousy or want to take a preemptive measure, there is a book called The Jealousy Cure that uses cognitive behavioral therapy. Link is in the description. Number 8. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. There is an equally beautiful, equally aching Japanese concept called mono no aware, often translated as the pathos of things. A soft sadness at the realization that nothing truly lasts forever. That separation is a part of life. It's the way a father feels when he gives away his daughter for marriage. A realization that things will never be the same, an appreciation of her childhood, and acceptance of the things to come. Musashi prescribes to never feel sadness from a separation, but that is extremely difficult. Merely acknowledge and respect that nothing lasts forever. Number 9. Resentment and complaint are appropriate neither for oneself or others. Resentment is liquid anger. Anger that melts and sinks deeper into the soul, lurking on the inside for a long period of time, if you don't address it, that is. The more agreeable you are, the bigger the chance you hold on to resentment, because you avoid criticizing others and act like nothing really happened. To battle resentment, stopping it from transforming from a behavior into an identity, is to stand up for yourself. If you don't like something, say it. There are battles in life where you have to stand up for yourself, or you become weaker. Talk to the person. Address it in a civilized manner. Ask why. Why did they did what they did? Because it can be a misunderstanding. If the person is dismissive, be proud that you have done your part and minimize your contact with them. Number 10. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love. Number 11. In all things, have no preferences. The uniqueness of your identity dictates that you have some type of preference to partners, to fashion, to action, and so on. But these individual preferences you own end up owning you, trapping you, making you one-dimensional. That is, if a little openness of spirit isn't introduced to the mix. The more you explore options, the better you adapt to new situations. The person with most options often has the most power. Number 12. Be indifferent to where you live. This point goes hand in hand with not being saddened with separation. Most people die a few miles away from their place of birth, and that is not a problem as long as it doesn't stem from fear. Number 13. Do not pursue the taste of good food. Number 14. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. A lot of people built entire businesses on the concept of minimalism. YouTube channels like Matt Davila and Li-Fi have spread the word and helped others take a step towards this positive direction. As an exercise, if you're willing to participate, that is, Take 2 items that you own and you no longer need and give them away, hopefully to someone that needs them. Number 15. Do not act following customary beliefs. There are a lot of false gods out there, and useless rules in the world, traps disguised as human causes and activism. Form your own opinions and judgments. Do not be a sheep in a world that eats sheep for breakfast. Number 16. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. Specialization is for insects. As Heinlein, the wonderful science fiction writer, said, is it useful to learn this skill? How does it push my interest? Does it connect to my other skills? Does it form an entire vision? Am I merely wasting time and being busy instead of being productive? These are questions you should ask yourself. Number 17. Do not fear death. Musashi stated, the way of the warrior is the resolute acceptance of death. Memento mori is an ancient practice, a negative visualization that is meant to prepare for death. Nothing truly prepares you for death, but it minimizes unnecessary fears, like fear of loss, fear of being weak, fear of being seen, and so on. All fear is ultimately fear of not being a self, of death, spiritual and physical. Imagine worst case scenarios and sit with them for just 1 minute. It's the equivalent of a king taking a manageable dose of poison every day to build some kind of resistance. Number 18. Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age. Miyamoto Musashi didn't care about wealth or power. He sought independence, honor, competence in his skills. In his mind, chasing money and possession exhausted resources. Hence, less is more. Hoarding things close to the heart is basically a recipe for spiritual constipation. Number 19. Respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. It's up to us to find our way through life. Depending on others for guidance can be useful, but the best way is knowing ourselves, taking some initiative, and things will fall into place. You can watch my video on this subject for more information. 20. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. Miyamoto Musashi, whether he liked it or we like to admit it, is a product of his own time and culture. Japan is quite centered around the concept of honor and duty, and to him honor is more important than life or death. He would sacrifice his body for it, without hesitation, to save his face and preserve his spirit and beliefs. Not all cultures and nations have the same priorities, values, and views. So this point is up to you individually. If you think that being honorable is more important than being alive, and so on. 21. Never stray away from the way. A life of meaning is one of responsibility and commitment. Musashi reminded us that life is harsh, full of death and anguish, that certain things are worth sacrificing for, sacrificing time, resources. In his mind, the way of the warrior is the way of patience and grit. It's about remaining consistent and not losing track. He might break these rules from time to time because he is human with moments of weakness, but his dedication to his journey is what remained constant and earned him the legacy and reputation he wholeheartedly deserves. If you like this video, you will enjoy this one over here. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. You know the drill. Stay sharp.